Dominion Voting Systems, which you might know because it got $800 million from Fox News for their lies about the election, has now been sold to a bunch of GOP lackeys and hacks. Unfortunately, it was purchased by Liberty Vote. This is a firm headed by a former GOP election official with ties to a big ally of President Donald Trump. And this is just weeks after Dominion has settled several of their big defamation lawsuits that have been ongoing since the 2020 election. And that is not a coincidence, it turns out. Those lawsuits were against OANN, Rudy Giuliani, and Sidney Powell. Now, we don't know how much Liberty Vote bought Dominion for. I imagine it's a lot of money since they got $800 million just in that one lawsuit. But the issue there is that not only is this company that is involved in our elections being bought by very partisan actors, but they're already acting in a partisan fashion just to make the actual sale happen. So they theoretically could have held out on those settlements. They could have gotten more money. They could have whatever, gone to trial. But instead, to sell, they were told you need to settle. And so they did that. And so look at effectively what has happened here. Some right-wing donor or whatever, by purchasing the company, has been able to interfere with those lawsuits and has now gotten, theoretically, more favorable outcomes for Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, and OANN, despite the fact that they did defame Dominion and they did it for their own political and economic purposes. And that has now, but there's no reason to believe that we got justice in that because there has been this manipulation of it. So anyway, look, I don't know, Brett, how significant this is in terms of what effect it'll have on the Dominion, the machines, or whether it could potentially affect an election or something like that. But I do know that in addition now to the right wing spending the last few years going around and taking over these county boards of elections and all that, they're now buying up the companies, which certainly doesn't seem great. What do you think?
Like, one of the trappings of fascism is essentially this: the merger of government and corporations in a way that helps prop up and effectively implement the goals of a militaristic society. Let's look at what just happened. Like, Trump was complaining. And so that's one, and that the examples of this happen all over the place. The way that major news organizations are kowtowing and being bought up by allies of the president, the way that the major social media organizations are being bought up and weaponized by people who want to get things from the president. And the president is, in the meantime, sending ICE agents and the National Guard to our cities to, quote, get them in line. But when you see Black Hawk helicopters kind of going and doing donuts in the sky overhead, it's really, really bad. It's very un-American. And I can't believe it's happening. But it's just one of those things where it's like, what's gonna happen next? Is a GOP person gonna buy Dominion Voting? And the answer is yes.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and again, gotta try to get them out of power, but the list of things that they've done to try to put their finger on the scale that have nothing to do with making themselves more popular to voters is very significant. And we're not done yet, by the way. The Supreme Court is gonna be considering some changes to the Civil Rights Act that could theoretically open up literally 1 to 2 dozen more redistrict Republican seats. So we'll see. There's a lot of it, and I know it can be very depressing. I appreciate anyone who's staying invested, staying involved in all of this, but there are days where it is very difficult.